ataupun kalau tengah-tengah ke ada soalan pun mungkin boleh. So boleh guna chat box untuk komunikasi ni, ya. Okay, sebelum saya mulakan sesi talk pertama ni oleh Encik Nawawi, so saya mulakan dengan bacaan doa majlis, ya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya salin ala alihi wasahbihi ajma'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wasahbihi. Ya Allah ya Rahman ya Rahim, hanya padamu sahaja kami panjatkan kesyukuran atas segala rahmat dan berkat-Mu. Bersempena dengan majlis pada ini, kami mohon inayah dan taufik-Mu. Kenakanlah kesejahteraan dan kebahagiaan kepada kami. Bukakanlah hati-hati kami, lapangkanlah dada kami supaya kita mendapat mengisi ilmu dan mutahar yang berguna untuk agama, bangsa dan negara. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar wa qina adzabannar. Okey, terlebih dahulu saya perkenalkan penceramah kita, iaitu Encik Ahmad Nawawi Razali. So saya bacakan sedikit biografi Encik Ahmad Nawawi. So he is 12 years working experience. So experience in overseeing end-to-end HSE aspect. So HSE aspect ni kalau mungkin saya boleh beritahu, health, safety, environment. So menjurus kepada oil and gas lah, ya, aspect across oil and gas industry. Demonstrated capability in installing HSE culture amongst project management team and subcontractor division in developing HSE deliverables as per legal, company and international codes and standard for the projects. Experience in infield drilling project, offshore, geotechnical drilling, APSIC, TNI, shipbuilding and hookup commissioning. So boleh ikutkan ni, Cik Nawawi ni berpengalaman luas selama 12 tahun. So saya sekarang ni freelance ya Encik Ahmad Nawawi.
Ya, betul.
Okey, betul ya. So tanpa melengahkan masa, kita jemput penceramah kita, Encik Ahmad Nawawi. Okey, dipersilakan Encik Ahmad Nawawi.
Okay, terima kasih Dr. Muhammad Rodi ya.
Ya, saya.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Nama saya Ahmad Nawawi bin Razali. Sekarang currently I'm working at home in Ceras, Kuala Lumpur. I think I can share the slide now.
Yes.
Hold on. Okay. Can see my slide?
Yes.
Right. So the topic for today is HSC as another career option for engineering student. Before that, Doctor, what is the toot sound keep on coming up to my video?
Wait. Please mute. Maybe someone enter then.
Oh, okay. I never use Webex before. Normally in my organization we are using Teams. So this is first time for me to use Webex. It's okay. I thought my system error. Okay, so the topic today is HSC as another career option for engineering student. My objective is to give what we call exposure to all of engineering students. Instead of you are focusing only on the engineering works. Not to say that I don't encourage you, but I would like to give overview what is HSC, job opportunity, how to identify your strength, your capability, which type of HSC job that you can apply for, and how to start to be one of the HSC practitioner. Okay, so the course outline will be introduction, and then we go to what is HSE, and their group, the categories, and then the criteria. And this is the interesting one, the prospect and future in HSE, and how you can start to be part of the HSE professional. Okay, actually, if possible, I would like to hear from any one of you. Is anybody from UTM know what is HSC in general? If anybody can answer, maybe if you don't want to talk, you can write in the chat. So I have some overview on your basic understanding at least. Eng Kai Jun, Health and Safety Executive. Green Hat, okay. What else? What else you know about HSC?
Memastikan keselamatan bekerja dalam kawasan pekerjaan dan juga environment sekeliling kawasan pekerjaan.
Betul. Complete jawapan dia. Okay, so at least saya tahu, saya boleh campur English dengan Melayu
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so at least we know that some of you know what is HSC, what is the job scope, and saya akan go through secara detail apa dia komponen-komponen HSC yang kita boleh pergi. Okay, gambar dekat sini waktu saya buat geotechnical drilling dekat Terengganu. Okay, saya baca profile saya sikit lah. Maybe saya boleh share. Sekejap ya. Sorry, saya tutup tadi. Okay. Sebab saya pun okay. Tak apalah, saya go through dekat sini saja. Yang ni boleh nampak kan? So ni saya punya CV actually. Ni profile saya bermula dengan kerja sebagai mill engineer dekat SMW Plantation. Kemudian saya start oil and gas career saya bila saya join Pro8 Offshore. Waktu ni saya jadi field engineer. And then I have this is my first opportunity to work in HSC.
Tak nampak Cik Ahmad Nawawi, tak nampak slide.
Tak keluar Sekejap saya share balik.
Share content.
Sorry, saya share balik. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Clear?
Clear.
Okay, clear.
Okay, saya show CV saya sebenarnya. Senang sikit kita boleh go through. I plan nak show dekat LinkedIn tapi tak apa, sama je. So I start SMW Plantation, mill engineer. Ini dia punya program actually, management training program, and then I join Pro8 Offshore to first step in oil and gas field. Then I received opportunity to work in Sapura as a junior HSC executive. So ini first exposure saya lah untuk kerja HSC. Then saya tukar kerja but still within Sapura group. Sapura quite big group, so dia ada banyak division, different company. So this one with Sapura China Pine Well, doing offshore hookup and commissioning work, still HSC engineer. Dia tukarlah daripada HSC executive saya jadi HSC engineer. Then saya jump into offshore transportation installation. Ini kerja ni kita install jacket leg dengan platform topside. And saya buat drilling work dengan Petronas. Waktu ni saya dah start freelance daripada 2019 sampai COVID hari tu projek saya habis. Kita fokus untuk drilling activities, dan sekarang saya bekerja dengan Sembcorp Marine Platform Offshore, Singapore company. But COVID saya duduk dekat KL dululah. Ada baik dia juga lah. Okay, tu serba sedikit lah. So background saya start dengan Bachelor Mechanical Engineering dekat Universiti Malaysia Pahang, and then after I start to join Sapura, then I go through NIOS certificate. Okay, that's it. So we go back to slide. Any question? Ada question, tanya je. Boleh interrupt.
Ada ada question ke?
Okay, I continue. So what is HSE? The main responsibility is to managing risk. We manage health, safety, and environment risk. Sorry. I would prefer to divide HSE into two groups. Group number one is technical HSE. Number two is non-technical. In technical, normally we call it process safety or technical safety. In non-technical, we will go focus only on occupational related safety. Okay, what is process safety? By definition, I refer to American Petroleum Institute definition is a discipline framework for managing the integrity of operation system and processes that handle hazardous substance. It relies on good design principles, engineering and operating and maintenance practice. Okay, in nutshell, it's normally involved in design and engineering stage, feed, front-end engineering design, concept, you will do analysis, design safety, you will do analysis on safety study such as hazard identification for operation, hazard identification, QRA, quantitative risk analysis, or you will identify major hazard. And then the reference standard that they normally use is API, CCBS, NFPA, ASME, IC, based on whatever standard, whatever study you are going to do. Which I believe, for example, mechanical student will know what is ASME, isn't it? So do we API. I believe you should be familiar by now. So let's say you are doing technical study on structure of beam, maybe you will use ASME. So this is very, very technical. Later on, I will show you some sample. And the other side, we have non-technical HSE, which is we are managing occupational risk in operation or organization for health, safety, and environment, which this is what I'm doing now. We will refer to, for Malaysia, we will refer to OSHA Act 1994 as a general legislation. Then we will manage HSE risk using tools, management system. We will be the legal advisor for the company. We will coordinate for HSE in the company, and the reference normally we made is legal requirement, legal act, ISO 45000. Sometimes we can refer to SIRIM, and sometimes we can refer to OSHA if you are working in USA based environment, and in UK based you will refer to NIBOSH. Okay, in the organization, normally if you choose your line to be technical, it will be like this. You will have the reporting line will go to engineering manager. You will start as a junior process safety engineer or junior technical safety engineer, and then senior, and then you go to engineering manager. And for this side, the beauty is you can go up to CEO, maybe. Okay, for the non-technical occupational, the common organization chart for your guys, you are engineering student. Normally you will start at this level, HSE engineer or HSE executive, And then you will go to senior HSC engineer and you can become HSC manager, director. But some limitation is that I never see HSC personnel become CEO of the company. That will be that one normally is what we say, normally dimanipulasi lah oleh operational engineer lah. But nevertheless, the line for this is still good. You still can become CEO for your own HSC company, like HSC consultant. For that case, you still can have the opportunity to become CEO. Okay, this one saya baru je crop daripada website Repsol, career website. Apa tugas HSC ni? Ini kalau kita tengok technical, tadi saya dividkan kepada dua kan, technical dengan non-technical. So kita tengok technical dahulu. Untuk technical work, dia nak apa? Ni kerja yang you all akan kena buat nanti. Maintain technical and operational requirement for safety critical element, performance standard and safety case. Just now saya ada tunjuk performance standard yang kita refer API, ASME. So you all ada, I believe ada one of your subject is to understand what is standard. For this task, kita akan buat analisis and refer kepada standard-standard tersebut untuk identify critical element sesuatu design. Contohnya, kita design fire safety untuk satu-satu bangunan. Saya terus spesifik ada platform lah, itu yang saya biasa buat. So katakan kita design platform, kita nak identify apa dia critical safety element untuk platform tersebut. Jadi kita akan buat analisis based on standard-standard yang tadi saya sebut dan menghasilkan safety case. Itu secara general lah. Banyak safety study yang dia kena buat, which is this job pun nama dia technical safety. Dia very technical, dia tak sentuh pasal occupational. Okay, so apa lagi kerja dia? Kena plan, execute training program, addressing process safety risk, interface with other group, with organisation. Dia interface ni because dalam satu-satu engineering fabrication, contoh kita buat platform lah, proses technical safety ni dia kena interface dengan structure engineer, dengan piping engineer. Contoh kita design satu piping dari point A ke point B, dia kena interface dengan proses engineer, nak tahu apa fluid yang nak lalu. Dia kena interface dengan structure engineer untuk dia buat analisis terhadap safety critical terhadap pipe tersebut. So dia basically perlu coordinate dengan engineering team. Sebab tu tadi dia reporting kepada engineering manager. Very interesting job untuk orang yang, for those who really have strong analytical background, strong technical background, very good in calculation, very good in process. So this is your job. So you will conduct process safety audit and process safety risk from critical activity using appropriate assessment tool, coordinate the implementation of hazard management plan, coordinate implement of management of change. Let's say ada change dekat proses tu daripada saya masih lagi konteks kalau pipe tadi, katakan plan asal daripada point A kepada point B, kemudian dia maybe ada perubahan nak tukar daripada point A kepada point C. Jadi dia kena buat analisis balik in term of safety, technical safety, dan dia melalui proses yang perubahan, management of change yang sepatutnya lah untuk avoid any unwanted incident. Okay, and then of course they have to participate in incident investigation team during process safety incident or event. Okay, so this is what technical HSC do. As the name given, technical, you are looking into technical for health, safety and environment. In the other hand, you have occupational HSC job. occupational ni kita panggil apa ya? Keselamatan pekerjaan. Ini yang tadi bila saya tanya awal-awal tadi ramai jawab more to occupational HSC. So occupational ataupun keselamatan pekerjaan ni kita involve dengan manusia lah, responsible for the overall development and implementation of operation readiness plan. Dia lebih kepada management, setting the regulation, this include development of the required key process and procedure. You akan develop procedure, guideline as per Malaysia regulatory requirement. Mubadalah ni dekat Malaysia, so kita refer Malaysia lah. Let's say kalau you bekerja dekat luar, dekat luar punya requirement lah, PP KUA, Petronas, guideline and other relevant international standard. This is also include providing specialized advice to support operation and drilling team for offshore activity. Okay, ni saya ambil daripada vacancy HSC engineer Mubadalah untuk drilling, sebab tu dia ada dedicated kat sini. Let's say you all go for other industri, dia akan lain lah dia punya industri ni, but in overall kerja dia more on management, more on advising on legal requirement, support operation team. What else kalau kita need to support operation team for offshore operation activity, monitor, implement, and if required supervising the HSC issue related to the said activity. Providing HSC support to the HSC team and wider organization as required. Okay, what else? Be prepared to serve for attendance. Tak adalah. Okay, provide daily advice on HSC support. So, occupational safety ni, we don't talk about technical safety. Kita kena tahu, we need to know to implement here, but in general, dia adalah satu kerja management. Okay, I hope dapat, you guys boleh dapat lah as of now. Okay, sekejap. So next saya nak share, yang ni sambil saya share gambar lah, senang. Apa tu occupational safety punya kerja. Okay, sebab tu kerja saya. Okay, for example this one, I can't really remember where is this, in one of the vessel. So this is me, this is my team. This is our subcontractor where they are the owner of this vessel. So kita kan, dia ada soalan ke? Okay, so salah satu main function adalah training and sharing all the requirement. Macam kes ni saya baru hire kapal ni, so saya kena share apa related requirement yang dia kena follow. Ini waktu saya dekat Shenzhen, China. Ada tulis. So this is the project. This is the jacket leg untuk kita letak platform dekat atas. So kaki ni kita buat kat China. Waktu ni projek ni dia punya topside kita buat dekat Indonesia, install dekat Myanmar. So saya kena datang sini, kena in term of occupational, kita akan ada plan. So what we need to do is to make sure they implement all the plan that we have set up. Okay, ini sama. Okay, this is our team. Just now is our subcontractor, and this is my team. Still, I'm advising. This is my engineer, field engineer. So, with my function is to advise them and to monitor that they are following all the plan that we have set up. Okay, this is the work that we carry out. Okay, sorry. So, in terms of this picture is a good thing. Let's say when we talk about technical safety, what technical safety do is to, for example, for this helicopter to land on this helipad, technical safety, during the design stage, they will analyze in terms of safety, if this structure is safe for this helicopter to land, is it what requirement, the firefighting system, what firefighting system they are referred to. Meanwhile, for the occupational safety, what they did, all the firefighting system, they will identify whether they have tested, it can be used, whether the uh, maintenance has been done before this helicopter can land on the heli deck. Okay, what else? Let's see. So do with this guide. So occupational safety, we check whether they did the preventive maintenance to this firefighting system. Okay. And one of the tasks is to give training. This one, this is in Qatar, Doha, for the jacket installation project. This is an example of what we did offshore. I think this one is a diving operation, very small. It should be video. This is a recent drilling campaign I did last year. So for the technical safety, they will analyze what will happen if the well blow out. How much radius did the fire will splash to the people? We have the accommodation here at the back. So when the fire splash, how much the radius of this fire will affect to the people living in the living quarters? What will happen to the people during drilling? And then how many minutes they need to evacuate from this drill floor to the accommodation. Meanwhile, for the occupational safety, we will look into the operation of this drilling activity. Have all the lifting equipment been maintained? Do they have valid certificate? Is the rigging equipment is color coded? If your personnel have proper training, competent, are they fit to work? Are they healthy to work? So this is the difference between occupational and technical safety. Okay, this one during okay. Besides that, I also have to normally HSC will need also to look into environmental. This is a training I did in Doha for the environmental megafauna control, because in Doha we have quite big numbers of shark whales. This is during the drilling activities. I'm inside the drilling console. So, like I said just now, one of the occupational HSC function is to monitor the activity. We have trained them. We have set the requirement. When during the execution, we monitor. Actually, for the monitoring, we have safety officer as in the organization chart I shared earlier. For technical safety, you don't normally go to site work. Okay, this is my work at this one at Thailand. We're doing diving work using this small boat. Yep. And this one I can't remember where is this. Okay, so that is it. That is the some overview on my work, and now I would like to share the real work and the difference between technical and occupational. Sebelum tu kita pergi ni lah, requirement. Tu kejap lagi, sorry. So the requirement for the competency, number one, of course, if you have master, that will be good, but not necessary. Master also you have two. One is master in HSE occupational. One you have master in technical safety or process safety. Then you also can go to have NIOSH SHO certificate, and this is what I did. If you plan to work overseas, you need these two, NIBOSH UK or IOSH for US, or you also can undergo diploma in HSE NIBOSH. Okay, if you see, I have opportunity to work overseas. What numbers of country actually? Still here? No. Okay. Why I can go to work overseas without NIBOSH, if you see, because that is the beauty of engineering degree. Let we have a look at the actual job vacancy in industry. Okay, this is I just random search in the Google under I type HSC engineer. Okay, for this position HSC engineer at Shah Alam. Look at the requirement. Blah 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 blah. Here we go. Minimum diploma in HSC management, engineering or related experience. Normally dalam HSC dia mesti nak engineering. Bukan mesti nak lah. Biasanya engineering tu adalah satu added value yang sangat tinggi. So let's say you ada people in HSC background, degree in HSC, and you guys are degree in mechanical engineering, and maybe you have additional NIOSH certificate. Definitely industry will tend to hire you more than HSC engineer if we are talking about engineering sector. But normally, of course, we are working in engineering sector, even though you are working in construction, manufacturing, engineering knowledge will give you very good added value. Okay, and we have quite a lot numbers of vacancy in HSC. This one I just randomly put HSC engineer. Under Glassdoor, you have 88 HSC engineers job. Remember, you don't need to apply engineers only. You can put HSC. I think HSC should be more. See, makin sikit pula dia jadi 28. Safety. Yeah, 3,000 work you have under safety itself. So not necessary for you to work under HSC engineer title. Just like I showed my profile earlier, I started with HSC executive. As long as you have set a good goal, you should be able to achieve it. See, you have 3,000 only in Glassdoor, not even open job street yet. And now let's go have a look worldwide opportunity. 21,000. And I really recommend those who are not born under any scholarship. Please, during your first employment, try to get work outside Malaysia. Put in your mindset that it is not possible. That is not possible. It is possible for you to work outside. Just keep apply. Use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a very powerful website for you to get work outside Malaysia. Okay, so this is my objective to show to you that as an engineering student, HSC is one of your career option, whereby the job is a lot. Let me take example. If you are doing piping engineer, piping engineer normally they took from mechanical student. Say you are piping engineer in oil and gas under design scope. You are born to only piping design work. You don't have a parachute to jump to other industry. But in HSC, nevertheless, what industry is this? Yeah, let's say you start with oil and gas. If there is no work in oil and gas, you can jump to manufacturing, you can jump to construction, you can jump to education. So the opportunity is quite broad. Again, I'm not telling that don't go for engineering work. This is just an option for you. Later on, I will show to you how to identify whether this position fit to you or not. Okay, this one. All right. Okay. Next is I want to share on the actual work. Okay, this is my current project. We are doing the jacket and topside, or in easy word, doing a platform extension. Let me show you overview so that you have idea what we are doing. Okay, this is the platform that is currently available at one of the field in Doha. So we want to fabricate two more platform, CE and EH. So we are going to fabricate this platform. Actually, we just fabricate it. We just started fabricate it at Batam. Then we will transport that to Doha and we'll install it. So my work basically to look at overall occupational safety for these activities, covering from transport of this platform from Batam, bring to Doha, and then bring to the location and install and commission. So, sekejap. I want to show you the difference between technical and occupational. Okay, this is the report. One of the report lah. Dia ada banyak report untuk technical ni. One of analysis report for escape, evacuation and rescue for this platform. What they did is okay, I nak tunjuk overview je, tak nak pergi detail. What they did is they will do analysis. This report title is Escape, Evacuation and Rescue Analysis. So they are doing the analysis. How do people evacuate if there is fire or major accident happen in the platform? So they will, for example, like this one, they are doing the assessment for the smoke. They will do the calculation, detailed calculation from the wellhead. What if the poor ventilation fire happen? So this is very, very technical. You need they will do the calculation and they will get the time for person evacuate from one distance to distance. For example, like this. Let's say you are 10 meter from the source. This is a burn rate. Very, very interesting for those who like to do the calculation. Impairment threshold for EER facilities, emergency escape and rescue facilities. Look at this. Impairment of escape road, master detection and evacuation facilities. It is noted that the thermal radiation consequences pertaining to failure cases can be found in fire risk assessment. So nampak tak dia punya kerja? Doing the analysis, doing the calculation, smoke berapa ppm in the air yang potential boleh happen kalau platform tu terbakar. Dia dia kira berapa lama manusia nak evacuate, sempat tak, kalau tak sempat apa nak kena buat, apa nak kena install. For example, maybe you perlukan 10 minit untuk lari ke master station. So untuk elak fire, maybe kita install fire damper, kita install fire sprinkler berapa radius. So very detailed. Meanwhile, in the occupational safety scope, this is one of the example that procedure that you need to do. Project of for this particular project, it is in offshore, so the name is Project Offshore HSE Plan. Basically, it is HSE plan. You are doing the management work. You set up the objective for the HSE. You set up the key performance indicator. What is your target for that project or company or operation? How you manage the organization, how you do the program and recognition scheme, how you create, how you cultivate safety behavior in that particular project or particular company. Then you need to develop procedure specific to HSE requirement. You need to look at the legal requirement. Kalau dekat Malaysia lah. Kalau negara lain, you kena double check dengan that particular country punya legal requirement. Set up dia punya training, buat management, HSE management at work site. Kalau macam case saya ni, kita ada hydrogen sulfide hazard, so I kena identify how to manage this hazard. Let's say ada blowout H2S, macam mana kru-kru ni nak selamat, nak kena pakai respiratory ke tidak. Kalau kita nak evacuate naik life raft, macam mana dalam life raft tu. Certificate of fitness, tadi saya ada tunjuk gambar, ada gambar crane kan. So kena check certificate of fitness untuk crane tu, dan lain-lain equipment, personal basic offshore requirement, dia ada train tak, dia pernah pergi offshore tak, apa experience dia, boleh buat kerja ke tidak, permit to work, kita manage macam mana kerja tu. Lifting punya requirement detail lah, but focusing on the operational. Technical tadi yang technical safety dah tengok. Okay, hopefully semua as of now, I hope you know what is HSE. HSE very big, and then you know there is two group that you can choose. One is technical, one is occupational. This is the key, hazard and risk management. You need to perform risk assessment for that particular project, and then you have to look at the environmental, waste management, emergency preparedness, health management, and etc. All right. Okay, next is criteria to select HSE profession. You need to do self-audit based on your strength, based on your result. I believe all of you guys already know what is your result. You are at the 4th years. At least you can you can assess what is your strength. If you are strong in engineering core subject, in calculation, in thermodynamics, in structure, in stress analysis, and then you able to adapt in process and chemical operation, and this is the most important thing. You can work in office for a long period of time, so you can choose this process safety profession. Normally, process safety, we work in front of computer, we do the analysis in front of computer, we only go to site visit very unlikely lah, I can say. because you will involve in the early stage of the design process. Meanwhile, if you are strong in management and leadership skill, you all tengok balik you all punya transcript tu, tengok subjek-subjek kan. Let's say if you punya thermodynamic, fluid, stress, apa orang kata, very hard to get A, very hard to get B kan, at the borderline. So you will be struggle if you are doing process safety. Might as well you opt for occupational safety. You polish your management skill, you polish your soft skill, because you really need a lot of talk. Kena bercakap je kerja ni. And then you able to work both office and site work. Office memang kena buat sebab you nak kena buat preparation work, planning work. And to be a good HSC engineer, you kena ada good planning lah. And then you able to have engineering calculation skill. Ini saya explain sekarang detail. When you decided to go for occupational HSC, secara tak langsung sebenarnya you tinggalkan dunia engineering. So, what happened to engineering student, even saya sekalipun pada waktu dulu, kita dah belajar 4 tahun kan, kita dah bersedia untuk jadi engineer, and then bila you go to nak bekerja, mindset you nak kena betul-betul strong yang okay, aku akan jadi HSC, aku akan jadi occupational HSC, aku akan tinggalkan engineering. If you 50-50, macam aku cubalah HSC dulu, nanti kalau boleh aku nak balik engineering, aku cubalah HSC dulu, nanti sambil-sambil aku nak pergi engineering. Sebenarnya dia kacau you all punya career. I don't say that cannot do like that, but it will macam mana ya, you punya timeline tu akan jadi panjang. Instead of you focus in HSC, you set the target, you set maybe 3 tahun pertama you kumpul knowledge, 3 tahun seterusnya you dah jadi senior, 3 tahun seterusnya assistant manager, group director. So you punya jalan tu cepat dan you punya knowledge pun fokus lah, compared to you 50-50 masuk sebab macam asal masuk je, tak certain kan. Sebab tu I put at this point able to have engineering calculation skill technical engineer yang you ada tu you left kan, baru you boleh senang sukses dalam occupational safety. Kerja dia sebenarnya nak kata senang ke susah, semua kerja sama je, ada susah dia, ada senang dia. Just that you really need to do self audit, which subject you are strong at. Is it in engineering calculation or management skill, or non-engineering related lah, lebih kurang. But the added value is bila you tahu tentang engineering, you ada basic, result daripada proses safety ni tadi, macam tadi yang saya tunjuk ERA tu, escape analysis tu, report tu you baca, you faham lah. You tengok, you baca berapa kilowatt dia punya radius, you boleh imagine kan, compared to engineering background ni, dia baca macam tu je lah, struggle lah dia nak faham. So dekat situ you dah ada macam mana, dah ada kelebihan. Okay, prospek ni tadi actually saya dah terbuka dah pun, dah ter-explain dah, ter-advance pula tadi. So prospek ni tu lah tadi, kalau you tengokkan prospek kerja sangat-sangat banyak. You tulis dekat safety dekat Malaysia saja ada 3,000. International tadi ada berapa tadi kita tengok? Hang pula yang ni. Itu baru LinkedIn, belum lain-lain lagi kan? Oh ni, 32,000 works. Banyak sangat. And macam saya cakap, ni Abu Dhabi. Kalau you boleh pergi kerja luar. Don't restrict yourself. Tinggallah girlfriend, boyfriend dulu kan, dapatkan experience, lepas tu you balik, senang saja diterima insyaAllah. Okay, banyak ni. Kalau kita tengok requirement dia pun basic je. Tengok dia nak IOSH. Tadi saya ada cerita pasal IOSH, dia nak NIBOSH. Engineering degree. Strong ni. Engineering degree sangat strong. Sangat membantu. Okay. Kemudian kita pergi dekat future in safety. Ini adalah satu lagi topik yang mana bagi saya satu advantage kepada engineering student juga. As industry toward industry 4.0, semua nak automation, semua nak computerize. So let's say you go to occupational safety tapi kita still lagi ada added value tu, semua yang you dah belajar dulu. Contohnya you boleh explore computerized system. You boleh develop analysis software, working software, investigation software throughout the year. Bila you dah start kerja, dah tengok opportunity, dekat situ you akan nampak. Even as of today, saya belum jumpa lagi software untuk buat investigation, accident investigation yang didevelop oleh Malaysian. Padahal senang je software tu. Industri kebanyakannya semua guna software-software daripada luar, which is very expensive. So semua tu opportunity. Analysis software, kita ada data yang kita record. Contoh data insiden lah. Sama ada data daripada tempat kerja kita sendiri ataupun data secara overall daripada Malaysia ataupun seluruh dunia, tak kisah. Tapi software analysis tu saya tak pernah nampak lagi lah yang dekat industri saya tak pernah nampak yang developed by Malaysia. Sedangkan sangat senang benda ni. So kalau ada engineering background, benda ni semua you all boleh explore. Next is advanced technology kepada gadget-gadget to assist HSC, gadget-gadget untuk assist rescue. Ni nanti saya pergi next slide. Advanced system, contoh kalau ada tu soalan ke terbuka? Okay, saya continue
Dan suara mak dia.
Okay. Kenapa skrin saya keluar notating ni? Macam mana saya nak exit ni Okay.
Stop sharing. Okay.
So advanced system, contohnya ini headcount system. Contoh masa kita buat emergency drill kan, kita selama ni kita kena kira satu-satu orang. Tapi cuba imagine kalau you kerja dekat industri yang ramai, macam tadi saya tunjuk gambar dekat China tu, pekerja dia sampai berapa ribu orang untuk buat kaki platform tu. So bukan senang kita nak kira headcount satu-satu kepala. Tapi even kat China pun masih lagi manual, kira satu-satu kan. So ini semua adalah opportunity untuk engineering student to look at macam mana nak jadikan headcount system ni automatic. AI system, saya ada pergi exhibition, tak ingatlah nama company, but dia dah start lah untuk implement artificial intelligence system ke dalam HSC. Contohnya basic kalau work site tu you datang, you nak kena pakai helmet, safety glass dengan safety boot. That AI system dia boleh track people yang masuk tanpa hard hat, tanpa safety helmet, automatic dia track, dia sound alarm lah. So benda-benda ni memang marketable lah dekat industri. Jadi banyak lagi future in HSC yang engineering student boleh explore. Let's say you start first 3 years dengan bekerja and you memang ada background, you memang ada strong business punya minded, benda semua ni boleh pergi lagi. So ni contoh software yang kita gunakan untuk analisis risk. Kita gunakan bowtie teknik. Kalau you bowtie ni, I believe you all ada dalam salah satu subjek untuk belajar bowtie teknik. So kalau kita buat manual, it is a tedious work. You nak kena drag, nak kena padam, leceh. So nama apa dah company ni, Bowtie SP ni, saya lupa nama company dia. They introduce software called Bowtie SP which is used by worldwide. Very basic. Dia macam sebenarnya basic je software ni. You sediakan template untuk key in kan. Let's say you nak tambah, enter, dia keluar. So even benda macam ni pun Malaysia tak explore lagi, which is very expensive ni. Petronas pun tak pakai. Dia pakai ni masa job dekat Indonesia, tak silap saya. Okay, ni safety invention. Ni pelampung, lifebuoy. Kalau tengok dekat kapal-kapal kan, dekat tepi-tepi tu dia sangkut life ring. Kalau ada emergency, dia baling life ring tu. Tapi sekarang dia innovate, ada motor, semua ni sangat-sangat berguna untuk, saya banyak cerita pasal offshore operation lah, sebab itu yang saya terlibat. Okay, ini push-pull stick ni kita gunakan kalau waktu kita yang belah kanan ni, kita gunakan waktu kita buat lifting operation. It's carbon composite material, very light, boleh extendable, and it cost, kalau tak silap saya, 2,000 ke 3,000 ringgit untuk satu batang ni, sebab yang buat dia US, satu dengan import lagi, dengan brand lagi, which is batang ni macam ni you all sangat-sangat boleh buat. Kira berapa stress yang kita nak exert kan, semua tu possible. Ni, ini bukan gambar sahaja ni. This one is impact resistant glove. Kita ada standard yang kita referkan, kalau tak silap saya ANSI punya reference untuk buat glove ni lah. So glove ni boleh tahan certain impact, which is cost us about 350 ringgit and above untuk satu. So itu sebab import semua jadi mahal kan. So, benda ni sangat possible untuk kita explore. And this one, the last one very simple. Biasanya kalau kita pergi industri, kita akan track HSE performance. Kalau tengok dekat Malaysia, even dekat company saya pun masih lagi tulis guna marker. Buat simple macam ni pun satu innovation yang boleh kita pergi jauh, can make for a life lah. Okay, now dah tak banyak dah, rasanya dah towards the end of the slide. How to start? Number one, saya sangat-sangat advise start dengan internship program, sebab ni jalan bagi saya yang paling mudah untuk engineering student nak masuk. But saya dapat tahu yang UTM semua dah internship ya. So maybe yang itu terpaksa tolak lah. Tapi kita ada satu lagi sebenarnya. Saya lupa nama program yang government buat tu. Yang you masuk industri bawah program government. In fact government bagi pula allowance.
Program PTJ.
Okay, thank you. So program
latihan.
Skim latihan sebetul kan, sebab masa saya kerja dengan Sapura dulu, ramai sangat student habis degree masuk dekat situ bawah skim tu, and kebanyakannya memang diserap lah. So sedikit tips lah, waktu let's say you all pergi program-program macam ni, masa program tu jangan duduk dengan budak-budak program tu juga. Maknanya masa dekat office tu, masa dekat office tu, waktu lunch, waktu kerja, saya perasan student-student ni dia berkumpul bersama-sama student. Kena ingat, you all nak pergi situ, you all nak dapatkan kerja. So you dah lost connection tau. Sebab let's say kalau you all pergi program-program macam tu, dapatkan engagement dengan boss, dapatkan engagement dengan safety engineer kat situ, dengan engineer kat situ. So dekat situ lah opportunity untuk you diserapkan terus. Jangan you make friend lah dengan mana-mana department yang ada dekat company tu. Dekat situ lah you punya chances actually. Okay, so internship program for you guys yang internship universiti dah habis, but still ada opportunity kalau you nak masuk, gunakan yang program-program government tu, but please try to go for reputable punya company and multinational lah. You punya opportunity besar sikit, you punya macam mana, knowledge pun lebih banyak biasanya. Next is fresh graduate intake. Ramai yang cakap fresh graduate tak ada kerja, fresh graduate tak ada intake. Saya tadi randomly search. So kat Mubadalah tengok ni, semua fresh graduate. Apply sekarang. Fresh graduate internship program, fresh graduate, try lah ni. So actually I nak tunjukkan yang fresh graduate tu diorang still nak dekat mana-mana pun akan ada fresh graduate. In fact dalam oil and gas, kalau drilling, memang almost every year kita akan ambil pelapis lah untuk di-train, lah, sebab dia ada proses dia untuk kita jadi engineer. Okay, another option for you to start is start as engineer in a reputable company. This is for those who think that they don't want to work as like structure engineer, piping engineer, but they want to work as a HSC, but belum ada peluang. So kerja sebagai engineer dulu. Throughout the time you sambung, you carilah kerja HSC tu. The advantage is biasanya bila you ada background engineer, nak masuk HSC dalam first 3 years tu sangat senang. Dia dah jadi added value. Next, you further study. Sambil-sambil further study tu, cubalah part time work. Contohnya you ambil master in occupational safety tadi tu, so sambil-sambil buat part time work related to that work. Or you part time study dalam masa you bekerja. And the most important thing is connection. Like I said just now, it is about who you know. Ni bukanlah kita nak cakap kabel tapi you tak perform tu bukan maksud saya. Maksud saya connection. You need to know people. Banyakkan main buka LinkedIn. Dekat LinkedIn you akan dapat banyak connection. You boleh get advice. You boleh tanya apa nak kena buat, how to prepare yourself. So easy for you to join. Okay, I go quite fast. As a conclusion, HSC is growing in every industry. Tak ada industri yang tak perlu HSC. Tak ada negara yang tak perlu HSC. Saya dah bekerja dekat Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Filipina, mana lagi? China. And sekarang office saya dekat Singapura. Saya kadang-kadang kena kerja kat Indonesia dan projek saya dekat Doha, Qatar. Sebab COVID saya tak dapat pergi Qatar. Patutnya sekarang saya dah kena pergi. So dia ada merata tau. So you boleh pergi mana-mana saja. Malaysia legislation has tightened the requirement. Last few week Parlimen telah dibentangkan di Parlimen tentang OSHA Act 1994 tu untuk dia combinekan dengan Factory and Machinery Act. So bila dia tighten, dia punya opportunity makinlah besar sebab industri akan diforcekan untuk comply. Industri perlukan orang-orang yang ada HSC. Okay, you have technical background. Basically, technical people will know more on technical requirement. So this is the added value for you if you join HSC. Okay, I think that is the overview on HSC work, how you can join, what is the group, and why I would suggest for you to go to take HSC as another option for your life career. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for the informative and interesting talk by Cik Ahmad Nawawi. So, alright students, guys. So now we come in question and answer sessions. So is there any question you can type in the chat box, or you can unmute your. So one question. Saya nak tanya, untuk sertifikat seperti NIOS, SHO certificate, kita sendiri perlu keluarkan dana untuk ambil CJ tersebut atau diambil melalui syarikat yang kita kerja? Ni ada soalan lah Encik Nawawi dalam chat box kita.
Okey, saya nampak dah. Saya pun susah nak jawab, dia agak tricky. Biasanya kebanyakan company, of course lah, dia suka bila kita dah ready, dah ada. Tapi untuk kes saya dulu, saya tak ada pun NIOS certificate. Sebab saya join bawah, kalau tengok yang saya tulis how to join tu kan, how to start tu, saya masuk sebagai fresh graduate intake. Waktu tu dia nak intake untuk fresh graduate HSC executive. So saya boleh cakap untuk membesarkan lagi peluang pekerjaan, kalau ada bajet, ada kelonggaran, buatlah, tak rugi pun. And you certain memang nak kerja in that particular field. Kalau tak ada bajet, itu bukan penghalang. You still have few option macam mana nak join. Macam yang tadi lah, internship. Tadi saya ada nampak orang tulis SLIM, tu yang saya nak sebut tadi. You boleh join SLIM atau you masuk bawah fresh graduate punya program. Biasanya company-company besar ada fresh graduate. Saya first job saya yang saya tunjuk tadi, Sam Dhabi pun saya masuk bawah fresh graduate program dia, tapi saya lari, saya pergi Sapura pula. Okey. Ada soalan lagi?
Soalan lagi?
Senang je. Dia tanya WPA senang tak? Macam ni lah. Awak punya degree ni 4 tahun tau buat engineering. Awak boleh lepas. WPA tu certificate je. So compare kan tu. Maksudnya degree awak boleh lepas, takkan WPA ni adalah workplace assessment untuk NIOS certificate tu. Untuk yang tak tahu.
Apa beza?
HSC
banyak juga
engineer.
soalan ni.
Saya nak kena scroll ke atas. Okey, daripada Rizkin, berapa lama Encik Syurka untuk bekerja di luar negara selepas graduate? Saya tak susah nak cakap berapa lama. You carilah pengalaman. Kita boleh identify kan diri kita dah cukup ke tak, and kenapa nak balik. Baliklah, jangan tak balik. Khidmatlah dekat negara tu lah. Berapa lama tu depend lah. Actually dia punya objektif satu, nak banyakkan pengalaman, nak luaskan. Sebab lain negara, lain cara dia. Pergilah banyak tempat. I punya point sebenarnya, jangan confinekan you punya capability. Apa beza HSC Executive dengan HSC Engineer? By dia punya work biasanya sama. Cuma sesetengah industri dia panggil engineer, setengah industri panggil executive, dan sesetengah industri dia ada HSC executive and atas dia HSC engineer. Ada sesetengah tempat yang very structured, mana-mana pekerja yang tak ada engineering background, dia tak boleh letak engineer dia punya title. Depend on organisation. Soalan seterusnya, saya nak tanya tentang last event in October tentang insiden di Sarawak berkenaan dengan kapal dan juga perantai minyak, tentang prosedur yang perlu dilakukan oleh para pekerja dan juga officer. Insiden mana ni ya? Yang man overboard tu ke? Saya assume yang tu lah. Jadi, okay, kalau kita pergi kepada scope of work HSC, occupational HSC yang saya cakap tadi, pertama kita kena identify adakah satu-satu projek, satu operation tu ada emergency response plan yang cukup. Itu first kali. Selepas kita dah identify, kalau tak ada kita kena buat, kita develop dan kita communicate kan. Kalau untuk case tadi kita kena communicate lah dengan kapten kapal. Kita communicate dengan kapten kapal, dia akan set demarcation masa bila kita nak kena abandonship, masa bila kita nak kena dapatkan pertolongan. So itu peranan HSC engineer. HSC officer dia kena faham betul-betul plan tu dan dia akan assist captain dalam situasi emergency tadi itulah. Adakah ada pengalaman seperti kemalangan di site? Kemalangan tu adalah, tapi nak cerita kat sini jadi panjang. Saya pergi soalan seterusnya lah. Kalau saya dah ada yellow book and degree engineering, position apa sesuai saya apply dalam HSC? Untuk engineering student yang ada degree, saya highly recommend jadi HSC executive lah. Jangan elakkanlah. Kalau yang slide saya tadi, chart tadi kan, saya cuba share kejap. Okay, kalau kita tengok ini yang normal big company lah. Kalau small company maybe dia ada basic je. Biasanya dah ada safety promoter, safety officer, HSC engineer. So seboleh-boleh awak cubalah cari kerja dekat HSC engineer ni dengan degree yang awak ada. Tapi let's say tak dapat, no harm for you to start daripada bottom. Kalau kita nak comparekan dengan technical, sama juga. Katakan kita ambil proses kan, kita ada proses engineer, lepas tu kat bawah-bawah dia ada technician kan. So kalau you tak nak apply proses engineer, you maybe boleh masuk sebagai proses technician. Sama saja. NDT dengan API set tu apa benda yang sama ke Encik? Apa ya soalan tu saya tak faham sebenarnya. NDT dengan API cert tu apa benda yang sama? API ni American Petroleum Institute, satu institute yang dia govern standard-standard untuk sesuatu engineering design dan inspection. Jadi kalau kita pergi pada konsep inspection, NDT tu non-destructive test. Non-destructive test under API punya standard. Dia ada boleh refer kepada pelbagai standard lah, macam-macam standard yang lain ada. So cert tu benda yang sama ke Dia dua benda berbeza lah. API tu organisation body, NDT tu nama lah non-destructive test. Let's say if we start as an occupational HSC, can we still work as a technical HSC after that? Can, but very difficult. Sebab kalau you start occupational, you akan left technical. Technical calculation tu. So biasanya challenging untuk you nak masuk technical safety. Tapi kalau you start dengan technical safety, throughout the years, let's say you technical safety dalam 3 ke 5 tahun and then you rasa boring lah technical safety, nak pergi occupational, biasanya tak ada masalah. So those yang ada technical background yang strong, engineering core yang strong, better start dengan technical safety lah. What benefit do HSC bring to you? Benefit in term of apa ya? In term of career. So ni lah career yang saya dah go through. Dia punya prospek saya dah share tadi, and future macam-macam you boleh buat lagi. Contohnya kalau you nak develop company sendiri, in term of advanced technology, saya dah share tadi apa yang you boleh benefit. Kalau you boleh detail lagi question tu, Chung Hing I boleh explain lah. Apa minimum CGPA untuk join HSC? Kalau tanya industri punya point of view, of course dia nak yang terbaik. kalau you ada dua kandidat kan, satu 2.8, satu lagi 3.5. Kenapa kita nak kena ambil 2.8? So saya rasa soalan macam ni baik awak keluarkan daripada minda awak. Cubalah buat yang terbaik. Okey.
Okey, Encik Ahmad Nawawi, saya ada soalan.
Ya, saya Dr. Hidayah.
Saya nak tanya, let's say we are contohlah saya final year student sudah nak grad nanti. So saya tak bekerja tapi saya terus pergi ke NIOSH ambil sertifikat. Adakah itu lebih baik, meaning that after I finish with the certificate dengan NIOSH, lepas tu baru saya apply HSE executive, ataupun saya start dengan engineering, ambil experience dulu, kerja dekat mana-mana. Tapi jika saya bekerja let's say in manufacturing, let's say contohlah dekat Melaka kita banyak manufacturing factory kan, kerja dekat Infineon ke Honda ke kat kereta, adakah saya boleh kemudian selepas saya bekerja, contoh dah boring 3 tahun kerja kat situ, saya nak tukar, nak ambil apply for the HSE post ni, boleh ke?
Okay, saya boleh share by experience lah. By experience, kalau kita kerja engineer dulu, kemudian kita apply HSE, biasanya lebih senang dan possible. Dan saya ada beberapa klik macam tu dan saya juga macam tu. Kan saya start dengan saya dah be engineer, lepas tu saya jadi field engineer dekat Pro8 tu, Pro8 offshore, and then saya buat HSE. But kalau you tanya tadi perlu ambil NIOSH dulu ke tak ke, sebenarnya kompetensi ni sentiasa added value. I would say avoid dalam keadaan tidak bekerja lah sebenarnya. Contoh hari ni awak grad habis, kalau besok boleh kerja, kerjalah dulu. Sebab sertifikat NIOSH ni dia boleh part time, boleh ambil weekend dan sangat senang. So let's say you certain nak go into HSC punya field, apply je kerja. Tak ada masalah pun. Kalau tanya saya advise kerjalah dulu sebab kerja tu dia punya kompetensi lagi mahal daripada sertifikat. Untuk industry point of view lah. Okey ke doktor? Clear?
Clear. Okey, satu lagi soalan. Adakah HSE executive ataupun HSE officer ni perlu berada di semua jenis industri? Sebab kita tahu apa yang Cik Ahmad Nawawi present hari ni focusing on petroleum punya industri kan. Kalau contoh kalau kita background kita kerja di automotive ataupun manufacturing base punya, adakah position ini ada?
Okey, hampir semua industri perlukan HSE. Tapi dalam regulation ada beberapa industri, ada 20 industri. Saya masih refer regulation yang lama. Tapi dia telah disidangkan di parlimen minggu lepas. Barat akan bertambah lah. Setakat ni yang lama punya 20 industri yang wajib ada safety and health officer yang registered dengan DOSH. Okay, untuk menjadi registered safety and health officer, kita perlu first ni kalau Malaysia kita perlu pergi ada sertifikat NIOSH tu as minimum, ada jalan-jalan lain lagi. Kemudian minimum kerja dalam bidang HSE selama 3 tahun. Lepas tu kita submit application kepada DOSH atau JKKP. Dia proses dengan beberapa dokumen yang perlu. Jadi layaklah untuk kita registered safety and health officer. So industri 20 industri yang perlukan safety officer ni memang wajib. Kemudian DOSH dapati mana-mana company yang tak tersenarai tend to tak bagi inilah, tak bagi apa dia panggil tekanan kepada HSE. So dia wujudkan satu lagi, dia panggil safety coordinator. Safety coordinator ni adalah orang yang bekerja sebagai maybe engineer biasa, contoh process engineer ke, production engineer ke, atau technician atau siapa-siapa saja. Dia pergi training safety coordinator. So semua, hampir saya boleh cakapkan yang saya faham by regulation tu, hampir semua company perlu ada at minimum safety coordinator. Jadi untuk konteks Malaysia, dia perlu ada. Okay, kemudian yang kedua, dalam regulation, apabila syarikat tu ada beberapa orang yang dia listkan, contohnya sekurang-kurangnya 5 orang pekerja, kena ada sekian dan sekian. Contoh kena ada safety policy, kena ada tanggungjawab majikan yang perlu dia penuhi dalam konteks HSE. Jadi walaupun undang-undang tidak cakap perlu ada computer safety and health officer, tapi company tu contoh kalau dia buka kilang basic lah, kita buat kilang kerepek, lepas tu dia dah start employ sampai 20 orang, banyak undang-undang yang dia kena patuhi. Jadi dekat situ adanya market untuk HSE ni. Cuma untuk engineering student, kita target lah pergi company-company yang memang besar, yang memang buat kerja-kerja yang besar. Itu lebih bagi benefit yang besar lah kepada kita. Okay, ada nampak soalan. Is there any difference between oil and gas agency and factory agency in terms of experience? Kalau untuk occupational safety, dia ada level of behavior dan level of industry punya kematangan, maturity, industrial maturity. Saya boleh, kalau ikut soalan ni, oil and gas dengan factory, yes, oil and gas dengan factory ada huge level of maturity different in terms of HSE. But kena tengok juga manufacturing apa yang kita cakap. Kalau let's say saya ambil multinational punya company, contohnya maybe kilang Mercedes ke, kilang Honda ke, so they are born to international, dia punya negara own ni lah. Kalau Honda Jepun kan, Jepun punya culture in term of HSE, so lain lagi lah. But based on my experience, bila saya compare kan between oil and gas dengan rakan-rakan saya dalam industri lain, by principle HSE sama je dekat mana-mana. Managing risk, by approach ada different yang sangat besar. First, in term of budget HSE oil and gas sangat besar. Sebagai contoh, untuk projek saya dekat Doha, budget HSE sahaja dalam 400,000 USD. So itu adalah satu budget operation untuk kilang dekat Malaysia sebagai contoh. So kan ada huge difference. So tu baru dari segi budget, daripada maturity of the organisation lagi. So saya simpulkan ada beza lah. Tapi basis dia adalah sama untuk manage risk.
Okay ya. So saya rasa kita boleh stop yang soalan last ni ya, Encik Nawawi.
Saya boleh.
Okay, so guys semua, so terima kasih banyak-banyak lebih-lebih kepada Encik Nawawi, our speakers for today talk first session. So and you guys also, terima kasih banyak soalan ya. So harap semua dah terjawab dan semua dapat ilmu daripada sharing ni. So sini harap semua boleh isikan attendance di semua talk. Saya ada share dalam group WhatsApp. So Cik Nawawi, saya ucapkan terima kasih. So nanti Dr. Hidayah akan contact Encik Nawawi, ada borang-borang ada nak kena isi sikit.
Okay, insyaAllah.
Okay, so kita sudahi talk kita dengan tasbih suara dan surah Wal-Asr.
Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.